All right, in the last lesson we looked at epigenetics and the idea that our environment and our childhood environment can influence the expression of our genes. And so, for example, if we have constant stress, then our body adapts and releases less cortisol, and that influences the expression of the TPH2 gene, which is going to influence serotonin, which is going to influence our brain, which is going to influence our behavior. So we're getting some complex explanations here, but I find this stuff pretty fascinating. And I think for advanced students, it should, if they're keeping up, it should be pretty easy to explain and to comprehend. Okay, now last lesson on epigenetics and adult stress. This is where it gets pretty interesting. So we're going to look at a case of Eileen Wuornos, the woman from Monster, and see if we can use what we've learned to explain her case. We can do a little bit of review. All right, I like this race to the front quiz. All right, so I think if you've done my unit plans before, you'll know this one. So questions pop up one at a time, and then students race to the front and bring you the answers, and then you can go over the answers at the end. I like to keep try to write it so it's the easier questions to begin with, and they get harder and harder. Okay, all right, so we want to try to apply what we've learned to understand this case of Eileen Wuornos, right? And so if you don't know the case, you can do a little bit of research. And again, you might find this too violent for your kids. This woman was played by Charlize Theron in the movie. All right, and so we want to give a psychological explanation for why she did this. Okay. Now this is a pretty important point. So it was alleged that Mallory raped this guy who she murdered, raped him, and this is why she murdered him. Now this is important because this sequence of events here is going to influence what's happening in her brain, and we can look at this clip here as well for a little bit more context for this. Okay, so see if they can hypothesize why did she do it, and so they hopefully can start thinking about, well, maybe something went wrong in her childhood, or maybe she had experienced a lot of adverse childhood experiences. They will do a little bit of research, and they're going to find out that's exactly the case. Okay, all right, and then we can discuss and then see if they can come up with possible explanations. All right. Okay, what's the key detail missing? Now, to be honest with you, this was a while ago that I wrote this, so I can't actually come up with this right now. Now, this, but just so you know, in this Gardner is on the blog, and it's linked in the unit plan as well, so you can find that post with more information. Okay, now you can see here we're getting really confused. So, it's complex. We've got stress, cortisol, trauma, epigenetics, the TPH2 gene, serotonin in the brain, and so how could this explain this murder? Now, I actually left out this study by Gardner in the review book because I did find that for most students it is a little bit complex. So if you want to skip this lesson, go for it, or revise it. Okay, so a good little one-sentence exit ticket. Do they think learning about animal experimentation is useful, and why or why not? And that's the end of the topic 2 about genetics. And in the next unit, we're going to get into ethics and evaluations.